Sorry? Fan? Nothing. Okay, now it's 8 o'clock according to your time, huh? Is it the right time? I was given the verse from the 10th canto, chapter 7, text number 4, and at the same time asked to speak about Bhaktivinod Thakur. So I will say something little about the 10th canto, also something little about Bhaktivinod Thakur, since we do not have much time. And you can all hear me. I'm not English-speaking person. I speak Africa. So it's just like in India, you have people who have Hindi accent when they are speaking English. Maybe my accent can be Africa while I'm speaking English. Hopefully it's clear to you, isn't it? You okay? Okay, thank you. So we will read from Bhagavatam, and then we will also say something about Bhaktivinod Thakur. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudireta Nasta Praisva Bhadrashu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is 10th canto, chapter 7, text number 4. Okay, I don't know what's your system here, but I'll just, you have a board, you repeat on the board? Okay. Shri Shuka Uvacha Kadachi Gitani. So this one, how do you do this? Kadachi Dutanika Kata Kalpadve Janmaksha Yoga Samaveda Yositam Vadita Gita Dvijamata Vachasha Chakara Suno Abhisechanam Sati. Next devotee, please. Anybody else? Okay. Translation by and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Text number 4. Sukadev Goswami said, when Mother Yashoda's baby was slanting his body to attempt to rise and run around, this attempt was observed by a Vedic ceremony. In such a ceremony called Uttano, which is performed when a child is due to leave the house for the first time, the child is properly bathed. Just after Krishna turned 3 months old, Mother Yashoda celebrated this ceremony with other women of the neighborhood. On that day, there was a conjunction of the moon with the constellation Rohini. As the Brahmanas joined by chanting Vedic hymns and professional musicians also took part, this great ceremony was observed by Mother Yashoda. Purport. There is no question of overpopulation or of children being a burden for their parents in Vedic society. Such a society is so well organized and people are advanced in spiritual consciousness that childbirth is never regarded as a burden or botheration. The more a child grows, the more his parents become jubilant, and the child's attempts to turn over are also a source of jubilation. Even before the child is born, when the mother is pregnant, many recommended ritualistic ceremonies are performed. For example, when the child has been within the womb for 3 months and for 7 months, there is a ceremony the mother observes by eating with neighboring children. This ceremony is called Swada Bhakshana. Similarly, before the birth of the child, there is Garbhadhana ceremony. In Vedic civilization, childbirth or pregnancy is never regarded as a burden. Rather, it is a cause of jubilation. In contrast, people in modern civilization do not like pregnancy or childbirth. And when there is a child, they sometimes kill it. We can just consider how human society has fallen since the inauguration of Kali Yuga. Although people still claim to be civilized, at the present moment there is actually no human civilization, but only an assembly of two-legged animals. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurumidam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the 10th canto. The 10th canto gives us the Pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna Bhagavan. So here in this part, which is the 7th chapter of the 10th canto, we are beginning, or we are being introduced to the pastimes of the Lord in his infancy. So here they are celebrating the turning over of Krishna. Prabhupada explains here that when the baby is small, he starts to turn around on his own or on her own, that he was celebrated. There was a ceremony that celebrated the movements of the child. So also when Krishna began to turn around while lying down, Mother Yasoda observed this ceremony with the ladies in the neighborhood. So Prabhupada is stressing the point in the purport that in Vedic society, the childbirth was celebrated, whereas in Kali Yuga, the birth of a child is no longer celebrated because children are now seen as a burden. And Prabhupada concludes by saying that although people still claim to be civilized, at present moment, there is actually no human civilization, but only an assembly of two-legged animals. A very strong purport here. And indeed, we are living in a society that is very backward if you compare to the Vedic society of bygone years. There's so many things that are happening in this Kali Yuga which we will not even mention. So this is so Prabhupada is stressing this point here about the degradation of Kali Yuga. So another thing that is important is that Srimad Bhagavatam, according to Sukadev Goswami, is the answer to all questions about life. It says that Srimad Bhagavatam has all the questions about the problems of life, and Bhagavatam can give solutions to all the different problems that the world is facing. So one of them here is the importance of protecting children in Vedic society, which Prabhupada is talking about here. So why was that? Because there was an understanding that the children will carry the legacy and the values of generations of people to the future. So basically, Vedic culture was based more on spiritual development, as well as the goal of Vedic people was to attain spiritual liberation. So that's the difference between the Vedic times and modern society. So when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, there are three things that are important. One is that we gain knowledge. Like here, this chapter is entitled The Killing of the Demon Trinavrata. So here we gain knowledge about the killing of Trinavrata by Lord Krishna, which happened in Mahavan, Nanda Bhavan, when Lord Krishna was just beginning his pastimes. And the second thing that we learn from what we hear in Srimad Bhagavatam is called application. How this knowledge applies to us in modern days. That's why Prabhupada is commenting in this purport that actually in modern days there is no civilization. What we are witnessing is only an assembly of two-legged animals. And then the third consideration is that we learn about values. Values means what is important about what we are hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, the important point in this part of Srimad Bhagavatam is the appearance of Lord Krishna. And because as we heard from Bhagavatam, I have Bhagavad Gita, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. So when the Lord appears, he fulfills three promises. One is the destruction, the killing of demoniac forces, vinashaya, and pradithanaya sadhunam, the protection of the sadhus, dharma samsthapanataya, and the re-establishment of dharma. These are three things. So when we study Lord Krishna, we find that from the beginning, from this time, he did these three things. He killed the demons and established his devotees, established dharma throughout his life. At Kurukshetra, Krishna did not fight, but by his potency, he arranged that all those demons be killed, and then his devotees, led by Maharaj Yudhishthira, were established as the rulers. So these are three things that the Lord did in his whole life: to establish dharmic principles, remove the demons, and protect the devotees. So here also, this chapter is entitled The Killing of Trinavrata. So Trinavrata is one of those demons. Actually, he was the last demon that was killed by Krishna in Gokul. First came Putana, and then Shakatasura, and then this Tirnavati, he was the last demon. like a wind demon. So then after that, Lord Krishna, he performed another pastime of delivering the sons of Kuvera, and then after that they left Gokul for Mahavan. So this was the last demon killed by Krishna in Gokul, in Mahavan. So according to the chapter 6 of the Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita by Bhaktivinod Thakur, he explains that this Dhinavata represents the pride which arises due to material education. When one is materially educated, he becomes proud. And he says that this pride also becomes the mother of impersonalism. So in order to protect the Bhakti Lata Bij, Lord Krishna killed these demons, but they are all representing different material desires. So this is an important part also in Srimad Bhagavatam, where the Lord is killing these demons. So the Lord performed two pastimes, Nitya Lila, Nimitika Lila. Nitya Lila means the eternal pastimes with his devotees. This Nimitika Lila refers to the occasional pastimes where the Lord killed demons. So these pastimes also are very, very important, because these demons represents obstacles on the path of bhakti. So when the Lord removes them, that allows the bhakti to flourish. So Tirnavata represents the pride which arises due to mundane scholarship. So in this material world, there are four types of philosophies that are predominant. One is impersonalism. Another one is that of yoga. And then the third one is personalism, which we are part of. And then the other one is voidism. These are, when you study philosophy and theology, you know that most of the religions and most of the philosophies in this world, they fit into these four categories. Either they are voidist, impersonalist, or personalist, or they are following yoga. Yeah. So those who are on the path of yoga, their goal is to realize the Lord as Paramatma. This is the focal point in yoga system. But somehow or other, they get sidetracked or deviated by materialistic powers, by yoga perfections like Lagima, Mahima, Prapti, becoming more lighter than anything, becoming smaller, being able to fly up in the sky, being able to walk on water. So as a result of that, they get deviated without attaining their goal, which is Paramatma. But those who are fortunate, they come to realize the Lord as Paramatma. And we see that in the case of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj wanted to revenge the insult of his stepmother. So his mother told him, only God can help you. And he went to the forest and he was chanting, giving the mantra by Narada Muni, Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya. So as Dhruva Maharaj was performing different austerities, eventually he came to perceive the Lord in his heart. This is a form of Paramatma. And then after that, while he was absorbed in Paramatma realization, his meditation broke. And then when he opened his eyes, he saw the same Lord standing before him. This Lord was called Prishnagarbha, the form that was revealed to Dhruva Maharaj, Prishnagarbha. He was standing there in front of Dhruva Maharaj, and Dhruva Maharaj became shocked. He could not speak. So the Lord touched him on his head with his conch shell, and he became relieved of his state of shock, and he began to offer prayers. So some yogis, they may come to this stage, but generally they get sidetracked by different mystic perfections. And then on the path of impersonalism, the impersonalist want to, the goal of impersonalist is Brahman. So they want to merge into Brahman and become one with the supreme reality which they know as Supreme Brahman. So this is the most prominent philosophy in this world, impersonalism. Because most people, they are attracted to this impersonalistic idea, and which comes with impersonal philosophy. It gives you the idea of becoming one with God, or becoming God yourself. So most people do not like the idea of becoming a servant of God, but they are attracted to becoming God. The idea of becoming God is very, very attractive. Than becoming the servant of God, which is our original position. Jivere Swarupere Krishna Nityadas. We are attracted as conditioned souls to this idea of becoming God, or being equally to God, or one with God. So that's impersonalism. Sometimes people will ask Prabhupada, what's the difference between Mayavada and impersonalism? So Prabhupada gave example that the Mayavada, they believe that everything is Maya. Krishna is Maya. Even this world is Maya. But the impersonalist, they believe their goal is Brahman, Parabrahman. They want to merge. So and then we have, we spoke about yoga, impersonalist. Another philosophy is voidism. So voidism believe that there is no God. This world was never created. It was just here. It's kind of self-manifested. And that they believe also that this life that we are living in this material world is also just nothing. And when we die, we will rise above the cosmos and enter into nirvana, where there is nothing. It's just you existing without variegatedness. So they fear existence. They want to withdraw from life into nothing. So there are so many also philosophers and religionists that adheres to this philosophy, like Buddhism and others. They don't believe in God. They believe you just die and then the soul rises and you enter into the state of nothing. They are also very popular. Why? Because many people want to escape responsibility. They want even to escape having an identity, because identity comes with responsibility. So if you have a philosophy that can lead you to a state of nothingness, where there is no identity, no responsibility, it's cool, it's just nice. So in that way, they attract a lot of modern thinkers. And then you get personalists. Those who are personalist philosophers and personalistic religions, you found that idea of personalism also amongst the Christians. That God is a person, Jesus Christ is a person, and Allah also is a person, is great. And different denominations, including us, the Hare Krishnas. So their goal is to attain the kingdom of God, is to attain the spiritual world, and serve the Lord, and have a relationship with the Lord, and serve the Lord in the spiritual kingdom, which is the opposite of others. So in this mode of being a servant, actually one enjoys more than the mode of trying to become God or merging into the Brahman. I'm bringing this point here because these different demons represents different philosophers that we are encountering on day-to-day basis. So these are four philosophies that most of the religions and philosophies stem from: impersonalism, personalism, the philosophy of yoga, as well as Buddhism. Therefore, we offer our prayers to Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastasya Deshatarine. We offer our obeisances to you, O servant of Saraswati, who is kindly preaching in the Western world that is filled with impersonalism and voidism. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada, that's why he speaks very strongly against these type of philosophers, impersonalism and voidism. That was his mission, which also now is our mission. Prabhupada has passed on this mission to his followers in the Hare Krishna movement. So therefore, it is of paramount importance to understand Srila Prabhupada's mode and mission. That's why in this purport he is ending by making a very strong statement that although people still claim to be civilized at present moment, there is actually no human civilization but only an assemble of two-legged animals. So because of these philosophies that negate the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the result is that people become like two-legged animals. Huh? This is because of the ideas that they are imbibing, which stems from these philosophies, which does not propagate that we are originally servants of the Supreme Lord. For example, there are so many philosophers. One example of the philosophers that we study in our modern universities, like Charles Darwin. You're familiar with Charles Darwin, the guru of evolution. And then you have Adam Smith. Adam Smith was the founder of the idea of capitalism. There are so many like that, atheistic philosophers. So when you study Darwinism very, very carefully, basically for the first time, Darwin made us realize that life is about the survival of the fittest, isn't it? Those who are fit, they can survive. So he introduced this idea of selfishness. And that our forefathers were apes. Through evolution, we are now better human beings. We don't know, maybe his forefathers were apes. But our forefathers were not apes. Because apes are still there, and human beings are still there. We don't see any human race evolving from apes. But we pay money to be indoctrinated with these false theories in our schools and universities. And then another, Adam Smith, his main idea or his basis for his philosophy was that in order to boost the economy of the country, he realized there was a need for encouraging mankind towards consumership. His philosophy is encouraging people's greed. The more people became greedy, according to his philosophy, is the more they purchased. The more they purchased things for their greediness, was the more the markets boomed. And the booming of the markets meant good economy. Simple. You can see on billboards what they are advertising. Eat more, do this. It's all what they are propagating, isn't it? You go to Mumbai, you go to London, that's what you see. More gadgets are advertised in big highways. So this was the idea of Adam Smith, to create a philosophy that will encourage people towards greediness. And then another materialistic guru was Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon's philosophy removed people from nature. It encouraged people to exploit Mother Nature. And he promoted science and technology over nature, to the exclusion of God, just as Karl Marx, another philosopher, he noticed that the capitalistic philosophers, and capitalist masters were exploiting the workers. To save them, he came up with the idea of a classless society where God had no place, isn't it? If you study all the people and the countries that follow his philosophy, is that they are godless, like China and many other countries. The idea of God was removed. So in that way, most of the philosophies which are demoniac, which excludes God, bring people to this point that Prabhupada is talking about, four-legged animals. That's why Srila Prabhupada was very strong against these philosophers, Sunyavadi, Nirvishesha, impersonalism, as well as voidism. Because they remove people from the idea that there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are subservient to that Supreme. And then when you remove God from society, and then what happens? People become just like animals. In animal society, there is no idea of God. There is no idea of law and order because there is no fear of reactions. So this is the problem of modern society. But it all stems from different atheistic views of different atheistic philosophies. So here the killing of Trinarvata, by killing this demon, Lord Krishna, removed the obstacle in a form of pride that arises from materialistic learning, mundane knowledge. It makes one more and more like Trinarvata. So by performing these pastimes, the Lord is relieving the devotees from these different qualities represented by different demons of Raj. It's just like in modern society, there are so many schools. Some teaches that this world came out of nothing. Some are of the idea that this world is just a conglomeration of atoms. Or some say this world is just energy or electrons, isn't it? We study all these things. They teach us very nicely, we pay money. Until we read Prabhupada's books, we realize so much time we have wasted. The young people are laughing, they know. We all went through this system of being demonized. Like Parad went to the same school and then he rejected. He rejected straight away. So in that way, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we have been saved from such calamities. So here, that's what we can learn from this verse, the killing of Trinarvata. This is the killing of this mentality which rises due to mundane learning, due to going to these schools of demons that demonizes us. And then when we read Krishna book, we read Bhagavatam, and then we become awakened to our original consciousness. Okay, I think I have taken my time now. It's closer to 9. And I've jotted down some information about Bhaktivinod Thakur. What's the time now? It's 15 minutes. Okay. So Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur is very, very important in our parampara system. Different acharyas are important because of their contributions. So it is said that, I was just reading this morning, the chronology of his life, that I was taking some points from Rupa Vilas's biography, The Seventh Goswami. There he says that, he begins by saying that in 500 AD, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement in Bengal. And then this movement began to spread like wildfire. And then later on in 750, which is 2 centuries after Mahaprabhu, this Sankirtan fire got, extinguished. It's like when there's fire, if you sprinkle water, it just begin to, go off slowly, and eventually it just go off and just vanish altogether. So 200 years after Mahaprabhu, the Sankirtan movement became diminished, because at that time there were so many pseudo sects like the Bola, the Sahajias. You still found them in some parts of Bengal also. I've seen them as normally I go around with devotees on parikrama. There are some temples of these types of people. And then this kind of extinguished the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 2 centuries after Mahaprabhu passed away. And this was going on during the 1700s until 1800s. In 1838, when Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur appeared, these Sahajias and many others who were imitating the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, they were very big. And the pure bhakti, as was propagated by Mahaprabhu, became unknown in the society. And then Bhaktivinod Thakur, of course, he appeared and he grew up at his father's place. It is said that his family was very affluent when he was born. They were very rich. He grew up in a big mansion that was owned by his grandfather. And then after his grandfather passed away and his father passed away, somehow or other the properties that belonged to his family changed hands. Or you could say someone within the family, like Duryodhana, he took over, he took all the properties for himself. And then the mother of Bhaktivinod Thakur and Bhaktivinod Thakur had to face poverty. Then he grew up, and then he entered university or college when he was 18. And in college, he majored in English literature, and he became very proficient in English language, and he began to write in English as well as in Bengal. And then that was in Kolkata, and then in year 1858, he returned to his village in Biranagar, where he was born, because he had left his mother and his grandmother there and many other relatives. To his surprise, most of the people he knew had died because of the cholera at that time. There was epidemic in the form of cholera. So then he rescued his mother and grandfather and took them back to Kolkata. And then in Kolkata, after finishing his studies, he wanted to earn money. But because the business sector at that time was corrupt, he did not want to enter into business. Rather, he decided to become a school teacher. So then he entered the education system, where he taught very successfully as a teacher. And then eventually, as you know, he became a deputy magistrate, and he excelled also in law. So this Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur was very instrumental in reviving the fire of Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even though he went to school, went to university, entered household life, entered the career, but his goal was to revive and save the movement of Mahaprabhu from Sahajas, who were very influential at that time. In order to do so, Bhaktivinod Thakur studied many Western philosophers. He studied even Western religions like Bible, Quran. He studied Vedic literatures. He studied Chaitanya Charitamrita. At that time it was very, very difficult even to get a copy of books like Chaitanya Charitamrita. So then after that, he began to write extensively, to revive the teachings of Mahaprabhu and the teachings of Lord Krishna. So he is referred to as a pioneering Acharya for the Krishna consciousness movement. Why? Because Krishna consciousness was lost after Mahaprabhu. There was no preeminent Acharya to carry out the mission of Gauranga after Rupa, Sanatan, everyone, Jiva Goswami left. There was a gap. So then Bhaktivinod Thakur began his mission, which you all know, of writing and preaching. And we owe a lot to him. He even sent some of his books to universities outside of India, as far as Canada, USA, also in UK. That was just to plant the seeds, which of course some of these books were discovered by the devotees of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness later.
but he planted the seeds of bhakti long before Prabhupada was born, because he envisioned that in the future a great personality will appear and he will take this movement all over the world. He envisioned, he saw the big temple across the Chalangi in Mayapur, where our ISKCON is today. He saw all these things. Previously, Lord Nityananda had seen this big temple also. So in that way, he was a pioneer. He prepared the ground for what we call today the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Of course, through his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, also he carried the vision of his father. So we owe a lot of gratefulness to these acharyas. Today we have the big temple in Mayapur, but this was foreseen, was predicted by Nityananda Mahaprabhu as well as Bhaktivinod Thakur. So therefore, we can stay assured that this movement is bona fide and that this movement will survive Kali Yuga because it is the desire of Mahaprabhu. It's not our desire, it's not our plans. We are just tools, we are just instruments in this big movement of Mahaprabhu. But the foundation was laid by Bhaktivinod Thakur, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and coming down to Srila Prabhupada. So Bhaktivinod Thakur is one of the acharyas that laid the foundation of this worldwide movement. So we are very, very grateful to him. So we can meditate. Actually, he gave a benediction that whoever will take this Sankirtan movement to new countries, he will get his direct message. Just like Prabhupada said, whoever will go to an Islamic country and preach Krishna consciousness, I will take dust at his lotus feet. Because those places are very difficult. But whoever risks his life, of course today we have a lot of books in Urdu, we have a lot of books in Arabic, and our movement is spreading to all the countries and all the nations of the world. But that is the manifestation of the desire of Bhaktivinod Thakur, Lord Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as well as our Srila Prabhupada. So that way we can pray today to His Divine Grace Sachidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur to give us strength to continue to deliver the goods which come from these acharyas, the goods of Krishna consciousness to the people of the world. Jai Sachidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. There's no time for questions. Now it's 9 o'clock. And if you want to discuss more with me, you can meet me later at your own time. I stay in room 511 in Goranga guest house. Yeah? Am I right? Yes, thank you very much. Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur Ki.